I'm Monique Sharp, and this is Get Sharp, where I'm lucky enough to chat with people just like you on turning fear into focus and leveling up their lives. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating health journey of Lawrence Petruzzelli, an accountant who's transforming his health and his psoriasis using the carnivore diet. Find out why he chose this path, the nitty-gritty details of the diet, and his experiences with health hacks like mentorship, mind-body connection, quitting coffee, and strategic supplementation. I might not personally agree with this diet approach, but that's where all good conversation starts. This one's pretty juicy. Let's jump in. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for speaking with me today. I'm really appreciative of the fact that you want to chat about psoriasis and you went to use a carnivore diet to heal the condition.
I still do have psoriasis on my skin. That one hasn't I haven't worked that one out fully yet. But what happened was with some people who have psoriasis, it turns into psoriatic arthritis, which goes into the joints. So that one's a bit more alarming just because I got to a point where I was struggling to get out of bed in the morning and my ankles were just really, really swollen. And then I tried so many different things. And as a bit of a last ditch effort, I thought I'd try this crazy thing called the carnivore diet. And within a week, I was walking again. Joints were just perfectly fine. I was sort of shocked at, how quickly it sort of shifted things for me.
I've got so many questions about this because this is the first time I've spoken to somebody who has done a carnivore diet. Most people I speak to that heal their symptoms have used juicing, water fasting, vegan diets, elimination diets, all the same. I'm really curious, how did you become aware of this carnivore diet and what made you choose to do it? What sold you?
I did try sort of more primal diets in the past, which helped me with weight loss and just maintaining my health. So sort of in those circles, I did hear a thing or two, but I thought it was a bit whack and a bit out there. Something that I still probably wouldn't recommend for everyone, just it works for me, so I find it easy. But yeah, I heard a guy called Jordan Peterson, who's a psychologist in Canada, and his daughter had, I believe, either rheumatoid or some sort of autoimmune arthritis disease. And when all my joints flared up, I heard that she'd been battling it since she was quite young and had different joint replacements and everything. But then now she's on this thing called a carnivore diet. And actually it's a little bit more restricted than what people would consider a carnivore diet. It's actually called the lion diet, which is just red meat only. So she went on a very strict elimination diet. I didn't go that strict, but I thought I'd try out something quite close to it. And that's where I thought, what do I have to lose to try it? Because on a personal level, I've always really enjoyed red meat, especially Scotch fillet steaks, and always been a big meat eater anyway. So for me, it was I'll give this a try. Because for me, it wasn't something where it's I'm going to be eating something that I hate for the rest of my life. It was just an experiment to see what would happen, and it worked. And then I just also found that the cooking and the cleaning part of just eating a steak with salt only and water is the most simplest and easy thing. I save so much time. I get all my food delivered here and I can just focus on my business now whilst I've gotten really lean, gotten way healthier, gotten way stronger in the gym. I didn't realize I was going to get twice as strong in the gym.
Bonus.
Yeah, and then just the simplification of everything just made it so easy to maintain and sustain in my lifestyle, because it's I don't have to think. I don't worry about I just order online. I got a farmer, so they grow it all pasture raised, and then she just drops it off every fortnight or whenever it is. That's all sorted for me. It's I don't have to worry about anything anymore.
It sounds like you're still doing it. So you're still following that diet, or are you a little bit more lenient now?
So when I'm at home and locked in, I'm very, very strict with it. When I'm traveling, I still stay mainly meat-based, but sometimes it's a bit hard. I was at a business event in Bali, and it was a bit hard there to be just pure, they don't really understand, but it's I'll just have the meat dishes or whatever and just leave the sides. I was in Bali for 10 days though, and after the 10th day, I felt my right ankle started to flare up a little bit, and I was I wonder if this is because I was running too much on the beach, or if it's because of just those little things that crept in. And then as soon as I got home and just went back to just strict red meat, my ankle just settled back down. So I think there is something there that is maybe a trigger for me. I haven't worked out.
If we go back a step, when you were looking at doing the carnivore diet, did you look into the science behind it? Is there anything there that sort of captured your interest?
Before I do anything, I do sort of nerd out on it a little bit. So there was a few different sort of like influencers in the space. I think Paul Saladino, probably a lot of people have heard of it. Dr. Sean Baker, um, and I think it's Adam Chafee. They're the sort of main ones I listen to. So two of them are medical doctors as well, but they've gone, one's animal based, the other one's full carnivore. So I just went through like what they spoke about, and they did a lot of myth busting as well, because a lot of people will say, you know, if you eat red meat only, you're going to have no vitamins and you're going to die and all this sort of stuff. And they went through and they said, well, yeah, here's a nutritional profile of beef. Yes, it's low in vitamin C, but if you're not having any sugars and any high carbs, just like in nature, generally have vitamin C, which comes with something that's high in carbohydrates. So then it's like in balance, whereas meat, it's lower in carbohydrates, so you don't actually need the vitamin C. And then there's a few like traditional tribes like the Inuits that never had any plant matter that were able to survive and not get scurvy and all those sorts of things. So I did a bit of deep diving and research into it, and I've gotten like my bloods taken and all those sorts of things just to monitor everything.
Like, what do you get tested for in your blood work?
I get like as many panels as I can from the doctor that they'll sort of write on the test, from like hormones, liver, like kidney, all the different like minerals that you can, thyroid, fasting glucose, fasting insulin. I try to get as many tests as possible, and then my doctor explains quite a few things, and then I also sometimes get a second opinion from other people. Just give them my bloods that are sort of in the space, and just say, here, can you have a look over this, and what do you think? Because like there's sort of another whole section of reading blood panels where there's like the lab ranges, which most doctors go off, which is just population averages. And then there's actual optimal ranges of like, now if you want to be in optimal health, especially for like liver markers, you want to be in like the bottom 1/4 of that. And I think even like fasting glucose, you want that to be lower than what they sort of list out on the general labs that they do, because they're trying to look at a whole population, not like the super healthy population.
That's great. You've got a good doctor that's supporting you through that and is open to doing something quite different. Did you know that doctor for a long time, or did you seek out that doctor to support you?
So first doctor that I actually sought out was from a low carb conference, because I used to be on sort of the low carb paleo area. That's when I used to live in Melbourne. And he was really good because, it's like the doctor beforehand, because this was when I was sort of trying to lose weight as well. He's like, oh, don't go to gym as much. Like, you have to do more cardio and all these things. And I'm just looking at him. He's like, not in the most ideal shape. A very lovely guy. But I was just like, I'm taking like weight loss advice from someone who's not where I want to be. And then, I was at this low carb conference and I found a more sort of sports orientated, but he was on a paleo diet. And on his Instagram, he's like deadlifting 200 kilos. I'm like, I want to deadlift 200 kilos and have a six pack. Like, I'm going to go see this doctor. And then he was one of the head doctors for one of the AFL football clubs. Yeah, he actually got kicked out of there because he wouldn't bullshit the drug use. He said, no, I'm standing by my... I'm not going to push this under the rug or anything. So they actually got rid of him because he wouldn't sweep under the rug some of the recreational drug use of the AFL players. He lost a lot of money doing that, but he's very like principles based, which is what I like.
Yeah, that's really important to find somebody that's aligned to your values. Hey, before you realized that you needed to do something about the symptoms that you were having, what was your lifestyle like? And when I say lifestyle, I'm talking about that holistically.
I used to live in Melbourne. I was always very overweight and a little bit unhealthy as a kid. Then probably my late teens, early 20s. That's when I got into low carb paleo, lost a whole heap of weight, maintained my fitness. COVID hit, living in Melbourne, 1-bedroom apartment, no balcony, extreme sort of craziness with the policing and what was happening there.
It was tough in Melbourne.
Yeah, especially because I was living in the seaweed. So my mental health just sort of went in the gutter. I was more than 5Ks from everyone, so I was very isolated. I didn't see anyone for quite a while. Started eating a lot of junk food, and I gained a lot of weight during that period. When things sort of opened up again, I was just struggling to stay in Melbourne. So I moved to Queensland, sort of hoping for a bit of a new start, but I went into a bit of a toxic relationship because I think I was just in the wrong mental state. Just me trying to pull in someone because I'd been isolated for 2 years and trying to like hold on to them really tightly. I learned a lot from that experience. After that, that's when I decided to try a carnivore diet, just because I think between the emotional state of that really caused a big flare up with all my joints. I was doing a bit of inner work as well, like a lot of internal parts work and shadow work. And then I just made a choice. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this carnivore thing. And then all that weight that I gained over COVID, I lost within about 6 months. And now I'm even leaner than I
Wow.
was before. Yeah, I finally like could see my own six packs. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like the first time in my life.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, so it's like and then now I'm just trying to like just get a little bit more ripped than that. So I'm like very close to where I want to be. But I think definitely the mental health played a big role, especially being able to then discipline myself to like stick to something. Because before that, I was just in this constant cycle of just emotionally eating. So just sort of my patterns from childhood. It's like being Italian background, the way that my family showed love. It's like I'm not going to show you love through being like loving you unconditionally. It's like I'm going to show you love through giving you food.
My parents' background is European, and there's that wonderful coming together, that bonding time, and food represents that for that culture. It's quite a special thing, but it does come with them feeling like you have to eat to demonstrate that you are appreciating them. And what they've created for you. So I understand that. You mentioned shadow work that you did before you went onto the carnivore diet, or when you started the carnivore diet. Can you tell me a little bit about who you worked with to do that, and what type of strategies you implemented?
I had a few different coaches along the way. There's probably two people that were like very notable in that period. One, the guy's name's Caleb Lesser. So he sort of helped me a lot with family patterns, and just we did like timeline therapy and a whole heap of different healing modalities. Then the sort of more internal family systems is what the psychological version of it. The easiest way to explain is there's just different parts of us, and those parts represent emotions. I just call it parts work. So that was through a guy called Michael Fernandez, who I'm still really close with. I'm actually in an accountability group with him. So we have like check-ins every Monday. We catch up for 2 hours, him and two other guys in the group. So we all have our like daily routines, and then we offer each other support. So it's like a really awesome sort of small, close-knit community thing that we've made, where we're just leveling each other up heaps and heaps. So every now and then I'll still jump on a call with him, and he'll just hold space for me. But ultimately, just talking about like all the different emotions that we have in our body, we can sort of label them as just different parts of us. And sometimes there's parts that we neglect and we push down, which is sort of more shadow Jungian style of work, where my biggest one was being able to feel anger, just because there was something very, very repressed. So that's like a shadow part of me. And then through parts work, I can label it as like my, the anger part of me, and I can welcome that in and then give it the love. It stems from my childhood, and I'm able to sort of trace back to exactly what the time was and what the period and the pattern was that caused me to repress all my anger. I can talk to that part and say, hey, it's not your fault. You did the best with what you did, what you had back then when you were a little kid. So it's about just growing that part of me up and then reintegrating it into myself as something that I accept and I love and I can express. And now it's just one of those things where I've got the tools now where I can just constantly keep inviting that part up and keep working through that, rather than, if I get angry, repressing it and then letting that sink somewhere else, and not acknowledging it. And then it sort of creeps into other areas of my life in a less than ideal way.
That's a useful tool to be able to detach as well from that emotion, and just feel it and understand the logic behind it, rather than letting yourself become that emotion.
I do a lot of journaling, and I was able to like get to a point where my mind was actually protecting me from my own emotions.
Yeah.
So my journey was a little bit different, where I eventually got the awareness and the understanding of all my emotions. But as soon as they come up a little bit, my mind would like take over and just like start logically explaining everything and just push them all down. Whereas the work that I've actually been doing is just being able to sit in the fire when those emotions are coming up, just being able to like shut off from everything, shut off from all the distractions, and just sit and just feel into them. And then I've just noticed different things that my body does, but I just allow it. But being funny is very like therapeutic. Like I remember once, just before I had like a massive thing that I had to do, there was a whole heap of anxiety that was just stuck in my chest. And I just felt and allowed that anxiety, and I just started just shaking, pulsing, and like my body was just moving around, and I just let go and just let it, like just let go of control and just let it do what it had to do. And it was just like whatever it was, it just got out of me, and then I just felt like a different person afterwards.
It's actually really powerful release, and the relief that you have immediately after, and you can see yourself a lot clearer. As you say, you can come into yourself and understand yourself without it being just in the mind. You notice the connection of mind body.
Yeah, definitely. And I do believe like the emotions and all that is very heavily related into my autoimmune conditions. I've been doing a bit of research lately using the deep search function in ChatGPT. I was looking up all the links between psoriasis and all the different emotional things, and like, oh, that makes sense, because a big one is repressed anger. So
it's acidic, right? Any kind of imbalance in the mind or the body causes toxicity. Your body stores that if you don't release it. I guess that's what you're saying there with the autoimmune illness that you've got or symptoms that you have. It really stems from that suppression and that holding on and not letting go.
Yeah.
You sound like somebody that's very switched on, and you're very open to growth, and you're open to self-reflection, and in a kind way, you're not looking to feel bad about the fact that you have these things that you need to work through, seeing them as challenges, you're seeing them as opportunities, you're seeing them as something that's going to make yourself better. Were you always that way inclined pre-COVID perhaps? Were you the type of person that looked for areas of growth, or did you have a slightly different mindset at that time?
Definitely didn't have that sort of mindset, especially like in my probably mid to late teen years. I was very closed off to any ideas or sort of self-growth or anything even like remotely woo-woo or spiritual. I'd be like, oh, that's complete BS. I was very fixed in the way that I saw the world and everything. It's probably a lot to do with just my upbringing and just the environment that I was around. Probably the craziest thing was when I was 17, turning 18, a friend of mine showed me like a thing called like pickup artistry. So like how to talk to women. So
Yeah.
I sort of got into it thinking like, well, yeah, I was a bit of a loser at school. Didn't really have any friends. Women weren't on my radar. As soon as I learned about that, I was like, oh, I'm not stuck for life in like just whatever cycle I'm in. There's like a possibility that you can actually do something. And that's actually how I got into self-improvement. It was quite surface level for quite a few years, but I probably credit it to like, in a way, saving my life, as in learning that I wasn't like stuck in this cycle. Like I had no friends at school. I was just like escaping through like video games and TV shows and movies. I think part of the reason why I got psoriasis is because I like used to lock myself in the room and never see the sunlight, because I know that the sun's very linked to psoriasis. Like as soon as I get in the sun, my skin gets so much better. Because around that point in my life, probably when I was really in that deep state, that's when my psoriasis actually first started. I had it when it was probably about, I think it was about 14, 15 when I first had it on my skin. And that was right in that period where I was very socially isolated inside my room, curtains shut, really dark. Like, I thought that's where my life was going to be. So I was quite fortunate that one of my friends showed me that, and I sort of got on the journey. I know for myself that, it's what got me into it. Was like, I have a relationship with a woman. But what the actual benefits and what the journey ended up being was a massive self-improvement journey, because I was lucky to fall in and have some mentors that were away from the just like learn these lines and do this and try and manipulate the situation to like, no, who are the man that you are and who do you have to be? Who do I have to become to attract that ideal person in my life? It switched to more like, who am I? Who do I have to become? And how can I be like, the most powerful person in my life? I'm very fortunate that I went down that route because it just led me to a lot of growth internally, spiritually, through business. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today speaking to you right now if I hadn't discovered that.
That's beautiful. So you have then gone and done this training to pick up women. You've had a bit of a challenge with the knockback of COVID. You've taken the initiative to get out of that and take yourself up to Queensland, had a bit of a stumble, and then decided you would overhaul your life by the sounds of things. Get yourself some really great support and coaching. Did you start your business at that time, or had you already started that in Melbourne?
My parents had been owning and running an accounting firm for quite a while, and I decided to actually just dip my toes into that, which was about 8-9 years ago. And now I'm just in a succession plan to take it over. I feel like for me, the next frontier of growth is not even about like making the money for me anymore. It's more about like, how many people can I help? Like I've been doing a lot of straight interviews and just like people's understanding their financial literature. It's like, come on, guys. It's like, it's not that hard. But I think that's like a lot of people that get stuck in victim, or they get stuck because they just don't have the right tools, right education. I'm like, if I can just like help as many people as possible, I know that it will have like a greater impact on society, because everyone needs money to survive and everything else. Yeah, when people are doing it hard, it's hard to get out of. I think at the same time, there's a lot that I can teach, and because like I had my own business, I managed to establish myself financially without ever having a massive income. By just investing. I did get lucky with a few investments, but at the same time, I think it's a lot of like mindset, and just like I know a lot of people frown on the word like manifesting, but I just always had this belief that I was like good with money, and I've had like times where I thought it wasn't going to work itself out, and then suddenly I just had this massive windfall, and I was like, okay, yep, it works itself out. And I think sometimes just having that growth mindset, you can bring that mindset into like everything from health to relationships to like yourself and how you relate back to yourself. So I think it's all interconnected as well.
There are some really key themes that you just brought up now that can apply to anything in life if you want to succeed. And that is, you've got to have that belief that's got to start you off. Then you've got to have a growth mindset. You've got to be able to educate yourself. So take the initiative to do that. And then you've got to take action. So belief, growth mindset, education, and action. I think it's really inspiring hearing you speak about money like that in particular, because it is a massive challenge for people, but it also does form a significant part of people's health. A lot of people think, oh, I can't talk about this. I'm not going to step out there and have a go. And I don't know anything about money. If you don't know about it, educate yourself, find somebody who can help you, believe that you can change, all those types of things. So yeah, I think that's a great method that you're applying to your business. I want to ask you some more now about the carnivore diet. I had some questions on Instagram just about, and probably because of the type of people that do follow my account with what I did. So when you're consuming a lot of meat, when you are trying to eliminate, how does that go for you?
I think everyone's body and digestive systems are probably very different. My gut would not tolerate fiber. When I was eating a lot of vegetables, because I was on a very high vegetable paleo diet, especially the first time that I lost weight, because I was always trying to fill myself up. My hunger levels always like through the roof. So I'd eat like heaps of broccoli, heaps of greens, heaps of salad, and it would just go right through me constantly. Like I could never have consistency when I was doing that. And it's like, I was following all the typical things. And I'm not trying to say that it doesn't work for other people, but for me, it just didn't agree with me. The first transition when I went strict carnivore, I did sort of listen to a few of the things that they said, because a lot of people can get constipation in the first sort of transition. So the main thing was to make sure that I had fattier cuts of meat, so there's plenty of fat there to sort of help things flow through, keep the hydration up, but also keep the minerals, especially like magnesium, so magnesium, potassium, and sodium up. So I just made sure that I liberally salted my foods and took a magnesium supplement. And I found that I didn't have any issues with the transition. Maybe it was like a little bit slower moving. But now, like I've been doing this for over a year, and now it's literally when I got my morning routine. Now it's like I wake up, use the bathroom, everything sort of goes very well, and then just every morning consistently. And I haven't had any issues since. I do notice that if I don't drink enough water, I can get a little bit, like it does become a little bit slower. Hydration is very key, especially because with a carnivore diet, you don't have the luxury of like a lot of fruits and vegetables. They've got a high amount of water. So one thing to note, if you do try a carnivore diet, you will have to physically drink probably twice as much water as what you used to, because you're not getting it through food.
And how much is that? Is that like 2 liters, 3 liters?
So if I'm not training, I have about 3 liters. I generally self-regulate now very well with just my thirst. So I don't really track too much. But if I had to track, just knowing by just my water filter, because I filter all my water with like a gravity filter, gets all the fluoride and everything else out of it. Like I have very high quality water. But if I'm training, I'll have about 4 liters of water. And if it's like, because I'm in Queensland now, if it's really hot and I've been sweating a lot, it'd probably be more around that 4.5 liters of water. Simply just because, the water intake does have to go up to replace the water that I'm not taking in from fruits and vegetables.
And do you do any other methods to assist, like enemas? Do you use saunas? Are there any other things you do to help your body clear and eliminate?
I do like infrared saunas. I just don't have one. If I had one, I'd probably use it a lot more often. A good thing about Queensland, when it's really hot in summer, you can sort of get a good sweat going on. So I do like to go for long walks and stuff. One thing that I do use, which I found very helpful for my skin and also my joints, is a red light and near infrared light panel. I can't move my camera, but I actually have it like just behind me in the corner. There's just that we're on
Big ones, right?
Yeah, so it's about 1 meter by, I don't know, 30 or 40 centimeters. One of my clients actually, he's the only one that has a TGA approval in Australia for it. He gave me one of those panels to try it. Well, I'd already researched red light therapy because I dislocated my shoulder in like 2016, and then just listening to all the biohackers, and I was like, oh, red light therapy. So I use that almost daily. I find that it helps with my skin a lot.
As somebody who's passionate about red light therapy, what are the exact benefits that you get and how does it work?
The way I like to explain it is red light is the special tuned frequencies that can penetrate our skin a bit deeper. The easiest way is like if you get a flashlight, put it to your hand, you see the color red. Those exact frequencies is because they're the ones that are actually penetrating, going through the body. So just that specific frequency, what happens is it just adds extra energy to the mitochondria in our cells. You can't patent it, but there's like 4,000 studies just showing benefits of it. All these different studies, everything from skin health to like hair regrowth to like weight loss, testosterone boosting, psoriasis like is in there as well. There's a few papers, so that's how I do my dosing strategies based on those papers. Like I've used it to heal joints, even like muscle pain as well. The deeper stuff, you want a higher powered therapy device. So the higher the power, the more penetration, longer duration, so you can get a bit more penetration. But a lot of people even just use the less powerful devices, like there's a face masks and all these different things that people use now, just because it helps with the collagen in the skin, helps with wrinkles and rebuilding, all that. If you're not careful, you can burn, and then that's definitely not good for you. But if you do red light therapy before you go out in the sun, it's actually protective. I found there's actually scientific papers behind it. Was when I was in Queensland, I was like not getting sunburnt, and then when I like traveled somewhere else, I get sunburnt. I was like, why am I getting sunburnt when I like Queensland's got like, it's near the hole in the ozone as well. Why is it like I go to Melbourne or I go to Singapore or Fiji or wherever, and it's like there's a bit of sun, and then it's like all of a sudden I get burnt. And then I found out it was because I wasn't using my red light therapy panel.
I have a red light sort of dome, half dome, and I haven't tried it for that benefit yet, but I do notice that if I'm eating really well, if I'm eating a lot of fruit in particular, I don't burn. And as a child, I used to burn so easily. My skin was really pale and I was always sick. On that topic, how is your like skin sensitivity or anything like that since going carnivore?
The skin's probably the one that's been a bit more of a lagging thing. Definitely notice it's less itchy, less flary, but it's just like still there visibly. One of the more recent experiments that I've done is I've cut coffee out. So I used to have coffee, and then it's one of the hardest things to sort of like break, because especially being Italian, I've been having coffee since I was like a teenager. But yeah, it's probably about a month ago I quit it, just to try and see what would happen. It's about a 90-day cycle just to work out if it would help with my skin. I feel like with this, I've always had like a big moving target. Like when I first went paleo, like all my skin cleared up like instantly. It's like I lost weight, my skin cleared up. This time around, it was like a much more severe attack, just because it attacked my joints and my skin was much worse. So I feel like it's just fine-tuning different things, cutting the coffee out, maybe even doing a little bit more emotional and inner work might have helped as well. But yeah, definitely if I can get more sun, I know that it'll clear up.
With any healing journey, there are a lot of theories that you do have, they call healing crises along the way, where you will notice that your symptoms worsen before they get any better. When I was healing my bowel cancer, I had just on these fingers here, I had psoriasis where it was really, really red. It didn't crack, but it was really, really red and would peel, just those 3 fingers. And then I did a dry fast, so no water, no food, no nothing, for about 5.5 days. And it went bright red, so painful, couldn't touch anything. And on the 5th day, completely gone. Have you thought about, on the carnivore diet, incorporating, I know you mentioned that you don't want to eat eggs and things because they do tend to upset your stomach. Have you thought about, you see people incorporate avocado and some other, even sauerkraut, some other types of food in that diet?
I have tried just with some of the different supposed like gut healing.
Today we're diving deep into the fascinating health journey of Lawrence Petruzzelli, an accountant who's transforming his health and his psoriasis using the carnivore diet. Find out why he chose this path, the nitty-gritty details of the diet, and his experiences with health hacks like mentorship, mind-body connection, quitting coffee, and strategic supplementation. I might not personally agree with this diet approach, but that's where all good conversation starts. This one's pretty juicy. Let's jump in.
And dairy If I'm super relaxed and like not a lot's going on and I'm sort of just on my own, I can have like a whole heap of cheese. Like while I'm at it, I normally stay at the Hilton. They give you like canapes at night time. It's got like cheese and a whole heap of other things and like buffet breakfast. Like at one phase, I was like just on my own, just enjoying my time. I had a bunch of cheese and stuff, and I was fine. Then another time, I was sponsoring an event, and I was a little bit more sort of under pressure and under stress, and I was like with my parents as well, and I had just a little bit of cheese, and I noticed my ring finger just like flare up, just in the joint because that's where I have had psoriatic arthritis before, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. In one context, I can have cheese. In another context, I can't. So I have experimented in it before, but I'm not like completely writing it off because it might just been that day, that time, the fact that I had it. The doctor I'm seeing up here, he was telling me like, oh, have some yogurt, have some sauerkraut, have some like kefir and kombucha just to like help with the gut healing side of things now. But yeah, just my body didn't fully agree with it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned at that particular event that you were quite stressed. Do you think that mindset has an impact on your healing capacity?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think yeah, just the stress levels and my own inner world, my own inner peace. Like I do know when I'm around negative people or people who like complain a lot or that like I'm more likely to flare up. When I do go back home, I'm not sure if it's like the environment in terms of like all the people or if it's like just the like mental sort of imagery of like going back to my room where I used to be like locked away and stuff. Because like if I go back to Melbourne now, I generally crash at my parents' place, my childhood room. So I'm not sure if it's like that patterning or the environment, or it could just be the grasses there. 'Cause I never had hay fever, and then they gave us the flu vaccine for free at my work that I was doing an internship at an engineering firm. And after that, I had the worst reaction, and then I had hay fever every year afterwards. And I'm like, there's no way that this is a coincidence. I've never had hay fever in my life, and now I'm like allergic to everything.
I'm not going to say anything.
Cue all the comments of everyone arguing.
Yeah, interesting that you feel those when you go back to Melbourne that you feel like you're not as settled. I think it takes a lot of inner work to be able to go into the environment that you felt the most uncomfortable or the most unhappy and not feel any type of trigger, or to not be able to react to people with behaviors that would traditionally trigger you. It's a lot of work to be able to do that. Gosh, there's so many things I want to ask you. when you are following the carnivore diet each week, what does a typical budget look like for you? And then can you tell me what would you normally eat in a day? How much meat would you consume in a day?
Yeah, so I probably spend about $250 a week on food. It's mainly Scotch fillet steaks. I can if I go for like more like chicken or leaner cuts, they can be a little bit cheaper just depending what I have, or if I have like lamb forequarter chops. But I like the premium stuff, so I'll spend about $250 to $300 a week on groceries if I'm eating very premium. I'm quite fortunate that I can budget all that quite easily. If I'm cutting weight, I'll eat about a kilo of meat. If I'm maintaining weight, it's about a kilo and a half. And if I want to gain weight, then I need to eat like two and a half, three. It's very hard to gain weight on this diet. Like I can maintain my weight and get stronger in the gym, but if I actually want to put on weight, it's like I need to eat like 2.5 kilos of meat. Like it's a lot of meat to eat to gain. And if I want to cut weight really quickly, then I just might swap out some of my fattier cuts of meat with something a little bit leaner, and I'll just see my weight just drop really quickly, which is really cool because I've always struggled with hunger in my life. Like every time I've done a diet, it's always been like willpower, hunger, like push, push, push. Whereas now it's just like, how can I like eat this and not like really care about what I'm eating? So yeah, so I generally find the sweet spot's about between 1.5 kilos of meat a day. I do take fish oil sometimes, and when I can, I do eat fish, which is also hard to find a good fish here because everything's farmed.
You mentioned earlier that you work directly with a farmer who supplies you. Could you talk about who they are and how you found them?
Yeah, so one of the business networks I'm part of, so my business mentor has got like a thing called the Insiders. One of the people in there, she's a farmer, and I think they're called Direct from the Farm Meats, just here in Queensland. So she's a cattle farmer, and I just met her through that network, and through that network as well, that's how I met my doctor. People who have like positive mindsets, they're all sort of go getters, and I sort of just surround myself in those crowds now. I find just people with like really good mindsets, people that are doing really good things. So she does all pasture raised farming, no BS in the cattle, like very humanely raised. She rotates her pastures. She doesn't spray them or anything like that. So I know that it's like really, really high quality. I don't agree with some of the practices out there, and that's why I totally get the argument for like, you know, not eating meat, because it is quite horrible what, you know, especially in the US and all that, when they got the feedlots and everything else. So that's why I like working with a direct farmer. It's called regenerative farming, where it's like you let the land regenerate by rotating the paddocks. It's actually carbon negative, just because you're creating more vegetation and you're capturing carbon. If you regeneratively farm, it sort of cuts out all the arguments that a lot of people like to sort of use around eating red meat. It's just change the farming practices, and it's like, you know, you can sort of eat in a much more sustainable way. Plus, one cow's got so many more calories in it than just, say, you know, the amount of land that you need to farm to provide all the vegetation and everything else. Not that there's anything wrong if that's the route that you want to go down, but it's just horses for courses, the way I see it. But I think ultimately we do need to change. Like if someone's eating as much meat as I do, it's like there is a responsibility to make sure it's sourced correctly, and also for my own health. I don't want all the toxins and stuff get stored in animals' fat. So I want something that's actually high quality, because I don't want to be taking those toxins in, then have to detox that on top of like trying to deal with my immune system.
Are you conscious of the sustainability of eating the way that you're eating if more people did that in their diet?
I think it just comes down to the like sustainable farming practices. Like I genuinely believe that regenerative farming adds to the planet rather than takes away from it, especially if you look at desertification, which is when we overfarm soil and we take all the nutrients out of the soil, and then you can't ever grow things on it again. With cattle farming, it's like, you know, if you do it in a way where it's not feedlot and all those sorts of things, where they're on pastures and they rotate the pastures around, same with sheep. Yeah, they're digging in, they're pooping in the soil, they're giving back to the earth. Yeah, sure, they fart and they release methane, but then, you know, photosynthesis, the grass absorbs all that carbon, and then, yeah, I believe that they give back more to the earth than what they take out of it. So I believe that if we have people more conscious around how they source their food and they vote with their dollar, people just greenwash and just do bullshit. But if you vote with your dollar and go directly to the farmers, like, I know you guys have sustainable practices and you do this, I'm going to bypass all the, you know, everything else. I'm just going to go direct to you as a farmer, because I know that your practices are top notch. Plus, so I think that if more people became aware and conscious of that, that's how you then evoke change. It's like, if you want to see change in the world, be the change from within.
I agree with voting with your dollar in so many ways, just and beyond just food. I think that the clothes you wear, where you choose to live, we're not all perfect, but we can certainly be a little bit more conscious in ensuring that we are putting our money into sustainable businesses and practices. I guess I asked the question mostly just because of the amount of land and animals required to be able to service the level of consumption if more people decided to eat significantly larger amounts of meat. The amount of land that you do need to have to be able to sustainably rotate those animals is significant. And I don't agree always with the way that fruit and vegetables are farmed either, because that definitely has a negative effect on the land if not done correctly. I'm not going to tell anybody that they should or shouldn't be a particular way or eat a particular way. We've all got to find what works for us, but it's nice to hear that you're doing that in a
but even when I was eating fruit and veggies, like, I used to buy always just organic produce. I went to the markets that had organic produce that was direct from the farmer, which was better quality and cheaper than the supermarket. So it's like, if people just like woke up and just did a bit of research or something, I just realized, like, no, there's more there than Coles and Woolworths. Like, there are other grocery stores. There are organic people there. You can go direct to farmers and they will deliver to you, because I don't go to the shops at all now. I get everything delivered. Like, I do not like, it's a waste of my time.
And we're all looking to save time, so why wouldn't we look at better ways to do that?
Yeah, and it's cheaper. I'm like, I cut out the middleman. They drop it off at my door, and it's cheaper. I'm like Coles can't compete with that.
And I think that comes again to the mindset things that we were talking about earlier, those 4 things. You've got to believe that it's available. You've got to have a growth mindset. You've got to educate yourself, and you've got to take action. And a lot of people just don't want to do any of those things. They see someone else doing something, they're going to copy it. Or they get some marketing and they don't question it. You've got to have the ability to question and be curious about your life and find something that works better for you and those around you. Do you want to share a bit more of a comprehensive list of supplements you think are worthwhile while you're on a carnivore diet?
I kept it just simple, just magnesium, fish oil, just because, like I said, I get like really high quality Norwegian fish oil. I bought some hydrolyzed collagen, but the sort of basic ones is, yeah, just mainly magnesium, fish oil. Oh, and I did experiment with vitamin D. One thing that I realized and what I found out as well is that for my conditions, like I actually need the sun to make the vitamin D in the skin, because that's where like my condition is. Because I know a lot of people talk about high dose vitamin D, but it's just never worked for me. I just try to get everything as naturally as possible without like supplementing.
Mm-hmm. I had another question from somebody on Instagram that was interested to see how a carnivore diet may affect testosterone levels.
I definitely found a big boost. Like I'm not sure if it's just because of the weight loss. Like my what do you call it? Like my libido is probably about 10 times higher. I just feel like the general things that people say about like high testosterone, since I've gone carnivore, like I feel those a lot more. Like just the like lack of fear, the more like strength doing the hard things, way more discipline. I'm able to push myself way harder in the gym, and yeah, the libido's just like gone through the roof.
So they don't have to stress, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
And then, so obviously, just in general, your energy is just much better now that you've eliminated other foods from your diet.
yeah. My energy is like much better. I did find it a bit hard for about a week or two when I cut out coffee. Like my energy was a bit all over the place. But now, yeah, it's like sort of leveled back out. It's not. I don't have those peaks like I used to with coffee. Like before I go to gym, I'd have like two or three coffees, and I'd have a bit more peak. But for a while, like my gym performance dropped off, and now it's sort of come back. But it's not like that really peaky strength. It's more like I have more like throughout my whole workout. It's like sort of just stable, so I can just keep pushing through. So I have a bit more stamina. So yeah, I think it's like not like just one thing. Like I have done a lot of things to work on my health. I think sleep is probably one of the most important ones.
Mm. And have you heard, actually, just while we're on the topic of coffee, have you heard how caffeine is actually the poison of the plant? And when you consume that, that's actually what sets off your adrenals, which obviously sit above your kidneys. And your adrenals are releasing all those hormones that get you up and moving and make you feel like you've got energy. But it's actually really putting a lot of strain on your kidneys, which is why people find it really hard to eliminate when they're drinking a lot of coffee, and why they do find that fatigue, because they've actually got adrenal fatigue and then they have a lot of trouble eliminating. So coming off coffee has actually probably done you another favor in helping your body to release other toxins that you might be holding on to.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it was probably 2 or 3 week adjustment for me. I was quite
Mm.
lucky when I decided to quit coffee. It was actually the only 6 days I've taken off from my business in like quite a while, because I was in Bali, so I was just relaxing. So I knew like I could just chill out and not worry, because I thought I'm just gonna have really bad caffeine withdrawals for the next few days. Because I was so relaxed, I actually didn't have the caffeine withdrawals.
I've never been a coffee drinker. I never liked the taste. So I find it sometimes really hard to understand what it feels like. But I used to be really addicted to chocolate, like beyond addicted to chocolate. So the tiredness and needing that for energy, I understand. So I'm trying to relate it back to that. Do you have anything that you want to share about this diet or the journey that you're going through to heal your psoriasis that you want other people to know or understand?
I'd say the main thing is just experiment, just find what works for you and your body. A lot of medicine, they try to treat everyone as like a one size fits all. And yeah, I don't think it is that, because what I've done to heal, like I know people have healed on completely different diets, on different healing modalities, different environments. The way I see it is like there's no gurus, there's just guides. Like there's people who hold wisdom and people who have like stood before me and tried different things. And it's just up to me to like take that information and experiment. But like I'll never worship like one person or just see them as like, oh my God, this person here, like I'm gonna bow down to them because they got all the right answers. It's like, wow, they're just doing their best with whatever information. There's nothing that like they're just a human being. I'm a human being. There's nothing that makes them more special than what I am. I can go do all the research and everything else and come to the same conclusion or different conclusion, or I can experiment on myself. And find something else completely different. And yeah, it's like there's so much stuff out there which is conflicting, and I think there's like truths in everything, but it's like somewhere is your truth, and like somewhere else is someone else's truth. So that's why I was even saying earlier. It's not something that I push or I recommend or say everyone has to do carnivore. I'm like, I don't think it's for everyone because it can be a little bit restrictive. It can be a little bit annoying. It's easy to say, yeah, I'm gluten free, I'm vegan, I'm pescatarian, I'm vegetarian. Restaurants will accommodate you easily. You say to someone, yeah, I'm carnivore, and they just look at you and go, oh, what, you don't like eating your veggies? And it's like, no, I'm not a child. I actually like my immune system will flare up when I like eat those foods. So, but it's like people just, yeah, it's just like the level of respect that you get, especially when people don't fully understand.
Isn't it funny how you always have to have proof? Like when I was just having juices or just doing water or whatever I was choosing at the time to heal, everybody had an opinion about it. And the minute I turned around and said, I'm healing cancer or whatever, it's kind of like a bit of a slap back in your box. And they would. But if you didn't have a reason that they felt was just enough, they wouldn't subside. So, how did you handle any negativity in your environment? And also, how was your immediate circle with the choices that you were making?
So, very lucky that my immediate circle is people who we bring each other up, and it's like they're super supportive. So that's why I don't surround myself with negative people. The way that I say it is just like people will call me crazy, but what I think is actually crazy is the fact that like 60% of the population is obese. People go, oh, that's not normal. I'm like, no. What is crazy is living a monotonous life where you're like overweight, you've got low energy, you're stressed out, you're like living paycheck to paycheck. It's like, guys, it's like so much better that if you just take responsibility for yourself and your health, experiment, find out what works, and stop looking at what others are doing and look at what you're doing yourself, and then maybe get inspired by those other people that actually have good results. And that's why I said to you, like, I don't care what anyone eats or what anyone does as long as it works for them. Like, I'd be your best friend if you're like a vegan and you don't judge me, because I won't judge you if you're like eating vegan. If you want to do a 5-day dry fast, I'm like, yeah, cool. So I know you can get like pretty crazy, but it comes back to just that like ad with like Steve Jobs. It's like, it's like it's the crazy ones that change the world, and it's like we're the ones that are going to change the world. And like I said, the world changes from like if I change within, like what I want to see the world to be. It's like I need to live by that. And for me, with that principle, it's not about going and looking and judging others and saying, oh, because that's different or whatever else. It's like half those people that are judging and pointing fingers at other people, they just looked in the mirror at themselves. It's like, well, your health isn't great. You're probably overweight. Like.
Are they the tools that you used when you had those negative comments, particularly when you were starting out and things might have felt a little bit more challenging? Was that the narrative that you helped to tell yourself in your mind to deflect that negativity? Or can you talk me through the tools that you might have used mentally?
My biggest thing was when I first started, because I also had to overcome binge eating disorder, which I developed through the whole COVID thing, just like where my mental health was at. And what I tied it to was pain. And what I mean by that is, okay, I can go back to being normal and eating whatever else and listening to these naysayers. And, because I used to love chocolate and ice cream and all that. But I actually had to sort of shift my mindset to that's actually not food for me anymore. Because that's what helped me with my binge eating as well. And that's just simply because I was like, if I had an urge to binge for those periods, or if I had someone like trying to doubt me or anything, I just think back to, okay, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was, what was the pain that I was in when I woke up and like my ankles were flared up, and I literally had to hold onto the walls to get to the bathroom in the morning until I sort of like half woke up and then could start walking again. And then when I tied it to that, I'm like, okay, there's a discomfort of that physical pain, or there's a discomfort of being a little bit different to people. And you know what? What's the worst that they can do or say? It's like, I know that this is my truth and this is what works for me. And then when I just tied myself to like, that's a pain that I was in, that's a pain that I went through, it just made everything else really easy. And then it just shifted my mindset to be like, yeah, that's not food. Like if someone showed me chocolate or whatever in front of me, because that was like a big trigger for me. Right now, I'm just like, I don't even see it as food. Like I just don't see it as food substance. Like I remember ages ago when I first like started posting videos. The good thing when you first start, not many people like see your stuff. It's like you don't really get any hate comments because people are like, yeah, come on. And then as soon as you get like something that goes with a little bit of a little bit of views. It was actually like the very first time I was interviewed on the street, I had like 500 comments hating me, and the video got like, I think like 780,000 views or something like that, with like just hate comment after hate comment after hate comment.
But also, it gives you some like something to want to do differently, or gives you some energy, a bit of fight, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. Especially because like a lot of the comments I had, they were like talking about my weight and stuff. Because when I got interviewed, I was sort of like, I was maybe like 15, 20 kilos into my weight journey. Now I'm actually 45 kilos down from
Wow,
my peak.
that's huge. Well done.
Yeah, and then there's like people that know me, and they're like right on like my street interviews, and they're like, "Man, I can see your jawline. Like, bro, you're looking lean, bro." They're just coming out the woodwork, and they're like, "Holy shit! Like, what's going on?"
Good on you. That's
Hmm.
great. You mentioned also before that you've got to find your truth. So how do you recommend to people to do that?
It comes back to no gurus, and just I think a lot of it's just trusting your gut. Like your gut instinct just tells you so much, and then just experiment. Like just accept that we're all different. That everyone's just doing their best on this world of like, being human, and no one knows the answers, and no one has it right. Like I still don't have it 100% right. You might talk to me in 6 months, I might be doing something completely different. And I've always kept myself open to being able to change and adapt and not be very fixed. It has to be this way or the highway. It's like, no, it's like I'm open to changing. If something better comes along, it's like that iteration. It's like, yeah, it's like we evolve.
How do you find the path you want to take versus the one you don't if you're not experimenting? So, for example, um, you are researching the carnivore diet. What is your yardstick that tells you, oh, that's not a good idea versus, yeah, okay, I'm going to give that a go?
Well, that's a tough one. I think like there definitely is a thing like with social proof of like seeing like other people doing it, and just when some things get a little bit too fringe. Like there was a guy called Liver King that was in the space who was like this big jack dude, and he was saying like, yeah, I just eat raw liver, and that's why I'm like so big and jacked, and I eat like bull's testicles and blah blah blah. And it's just like it's just impossible bullshit test for me. I was like, dude, like look at your delts, like you're obviously on gear. And like he's trying to say like, I'm all natural, and like one day he comes out, it's like, oh yeah, I'm on like TRT and I'm on gear, and it's like, yeah, obvious. But then like you lose so much trust and stuff. So I think like you get the fringe and like the crazy things like that. But yeah, for me it's like more like there's definitely the social proof element of like, have other people tried it, have other people had success in it, and then also do try to dive into like a bit of the science. Like there's always a lot of conflicting information in the science. Like you're gonna have like you're always gonna find evidence for what you want, but at the same time, I do like to try and look at like all the sides, all the different arguments, and then just try and make up like my own mind. And then if I can try and like try different things within that, and then it works for me, then I'll just stick with it, because you can only do the best with the information that you got. Cool thing is we've got AI now, which can do a lot of deep research. Like
Mm,
this is insane. Like the amount of information people have at their fingertips these days, it's like crazy. It's like you got no
crazy.
excuses.
Yeah, I agree. I was analyzing this question for myself recently, and something that struck me is, first of all, I look at what is aligned to my values. Then I'm looking for, as you say, that proof, like social proof or physical proof. I'm looking for their test results. I want to know, show me the figures. And then I'm looking for a really simple answer. I've worked for a long time in marketing, and all that bullshit is really obvious to me, but it might not be so obvious to those people that are not looking for that. So I think sometimes just simplifying it right down, like what makes the most sense as the most natural way to go.
I've given a lot more respect to like ancient traditions and like what happened thousands of years ago, because like a lot of the new science and stuff that's coming out is like that's exactly what ancient traditions were doing. Now it's like all the mental health journals and all like, psychology and everything. They're like, yeah, it's like meditation. It's like the new hot trending thing. It's like, well, it's not really a new hot trending thing. It's an ancient healing modality that was done for thousands of years that has now made the mainstream and people have made it popular. And then I also look at the spiritual connection, like the spiritual connection to like Mother Earth, like being thankful and grateful. One of my coaches a while ago, I remember like because he was helping me with like diet and training, and he used to get me to always like say a sort of gratitude piece before like every single meal, just saying like, thank you, Mother Earth, thank you, Father Sun, for this beautiful, lovely, and nutritious meal.
Yeah, being conscious of the choices that you're making
Hmm.
as well as part of that. I've really, really enjoyed this chat. It still sounds like you've got a way to go in terms of what you want to improve. Some more experimenting by the sounds of things, which I think you're excited by. Any other little bits that you want to share?
I'm very passionate about anyone who wants to start a business. So I'm an accountant that helps people save tax and grow their businesses. So if anyone wants any help with that, like I do put out as much content as I can for free on Instagram. But if they want further consulting, just on a more professional and business sense, or it's kind of funny when I have these conversations. Like even when I was talking about the red light therapy panel, it's like one thing I've noticed, like the more I can like put myself out there and like just be very true and authentic to like this is what I research, this is what I'm into. Like I'll just attract people in that like can resonate with that. And because I used to be like a big people pleaser, nice guy type of personality, where I'd like hold back and just agree with everyone and try and like keep everyone happy. And I was just like keeping no one happy. Now it's like, this is what I do and this is who I am. And if you like it, then we'll connect. If you don't like it, it's awesome. There's someone else out there that's going to be your best mate. So it's all good.
Energy you put out is the energy you get back. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.